Hi everyone, welcome back to Java Full Stack Flow. Today let's understand one of the most common microservices interview questions. What is an API gateway and why is it required? Imagine you are visiting a shopping mall. You don't enter through separate doors for each shop. Instead of it, everyone enters through one main entrance. Similarly, in a microservices architecture, the client doesn't communicate with every microservice directly. The client sends only one request to the API gateway and the API gateway routes the request to the required microservice. Now let's understand each point. First one is single entry point. Instead of calling multiple microservices directly, the client sends one request to the API gateway. It means instead of the client calling user service, order service, payment service and other services individually, the client sends only one request to the API gateway. This makes the client application much simpler because it doesn't need to know where every microservice is located. Second one is request routing. The API gateway forwards the request to the correct microservice. For example, if the request is related to orders, it forwards it to the order service. If it's related to payments, it sends it to the payment service. So the gateway acts like a smart traffic controller. Next, authentication and authorization. Checks whether the user is logged in and has permissions before forwarding the request. Means before forwarding the request to the microservice, the gateway checks whether the user is authenticated and whether the user has permission to access the resource. This means security is handled at one central place instead of implementing it separately in every microservice. Next is load balancing. If multiple instances of a service are running, it distributes requests among them to avoid overload. Means in production we usually run multiple instances of the same microservice. So the API gateway distributes incoming requests across these instances so that no single server becomes overloaded. This improves availability and performance. Next, fifth point is rate limiting. Stops a single user or bot from sending too many requests. Protecting the application means sometimes a user or a bot may send thousands of requests in a short time. The API gateway limits how many requests allowed from a particular client within a specific time period. This protects the application from abuse and helps prevent service overload. Next, sixth point is request aggregation. Collects data from multiple microservices and returns one combined response to the client. Means suppose a mobile application needs customer details, order details and payment details on a single screen. Instead of making three separate API calls, the API gateway collects data from all the required microservices and returns one combined response to the client. This reduces network calls and improves application performance. Next, logging and monitoring. Records all API requests and errors in one place, making debugging and monitoring easier. Means every request and response passes through the API gateway, so it becomes the perfect place to record logs, monitor traffic errors, and troubleshoot issues. So this makes debugging much easier. Next, SSL termination. The API gateway handles HTTPS security at the gateway, so backend services can only focus on business logic. Next, now let's look at the real-time example as shown on the right side of the image. Without an API gateway, the client directly communicates with user service, product service, order service, payment service, and notification service. Here, client must know every service endpoint. There are multiple network calls. Increased complexity and security becomes difficult to manage. Next, with an API gateway, the client sends only one request to the gateway. The gateway communicates with all the required microservices and returns the response. This approach is more secure, scalable, easier to manage, and also provides a better user experience. Next, in interview you can answer like this. API gateway is the single entry point in a microservices architecture. It routes requests to the appropriate microservice while handling authentication, authorization, load balancing, rate limiting, request aggregation, logging and security. This makes the system more secure, scalable and easier to manage. That's all for API Gateway. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram for more real-time Java full stack interview questions. Thank you.